How do you learn pronunciation? Well, you need to listen. If you don't listen, you'll never learn right pronunciation. This is a mistake people here make all the time. People who've been going to school 8, 10, 12 years of English classes in Spain, and they still can they sound really bad when they speak English and they don't understand much. This is because they didn't do enough listening. So first thing is massive amounts of listening. If you don't do this, you'll never understand or speak the language well. There's no way around it. Massive amounts of listening. What and how? Well, I recommend podcasts. Podcast by native speakers for native speakers. Yeah, avoid the Spanish with this guy and all that. Just start directly with the native speaker podcast. If you memorize a lot of vocab with associations, you'll understand this pretty easily soon. If you do enough of it. That's one thing. The other thing is listening and repeating. If you listen and repeat sentences, something like Glossica or any Tatueva or any kind of, you can use YouTube videos for this as well. The same sentences over and over again. A few hundred sentences a day, and you repeat the same list tomorrow and then the day after, and you try to sound as close as possible to what you listening to, so that you pay attention to detail. You try to sound as close as possible. Right? So you slowly start to sound more and more like a native speaker. You never sound 100% like a native speaker. I mean, you might if you work enough on it. But it's a lot of hard work. But you probably prefer learning another language, because like the amount of effort that will take you to go from 98% to 99% correct in a language, like on a native speaker scale, is more than what it would take you to go from 0 to conversational in another language. So it's easier to learn more languages instead, and it's more fun. But yeah, people are like accents, people are perfectionists as well. If you want to sound like a native speaker, you have to do this over and over and over again. Especially also in the beginning, because it will help your pronunciation a lot. Next one is active recall. Listening to a lot of podcasts works, but it's slow because it's not structured, it's just absorbing the language. You don't want to do 2,000 hours of dream in Spanish. Do this as well. Combine it with mass listening. What's this? Same thing as this. List of sentences. Yeah, sentence after sentence. This is deliberate practice. 1 hour of deliberate practice is worth more than 10 hours of just casually listening. Casual listening is helpful as well, but deliberate practice is where you make the most improvement. You listen to sentences without looking at what you're listening to. Try to understand, and then you check if you understood it correctly or not. And you do it with the next sentence and the next sentence, and you do it with hundreds of sentences a day. Again, you need to know enough vocab for that. So make sure you're doing your association of your daily associations. If you combine these two, you learn hundreds, thousands of sentences very quickly in a few weeks, and you'll be able to understand and speak very well. Finally, talking about speaking. Language islands. These are mostly for speaking, but if you create an audio file and you listen to it over and over again with the language islands, you can do these two exercises and also this one with the language island. In fact, this is the better than podcast at first to also binge listen to, because if you transfer your own sentences into the language, create a nice sounding audio file or playlist, and you listen to them over and over and over again, you learn all the relevant vocabulary and grammar grammar very quickly just by listening. And then you can also listen and repeat those sentences and do this one as well. Yeah, this is all you need to do to understand a language fast, spoken language.